Have you ever had a dream? Something that moved you to the point that you could only think about that? Something that made you turn away from anything else? Whatever your answer might be, I like to think that this manga portrays a version of us that grasps onto a dream and never let it go. It is a story of a boy who aspires to be the best jazz musician in the world. And you might think, well, that's pretty unrealistic. To dream that big, to be that naive. The world is just not like that, right? And my friends, if this were your first thoughts, then you really need to read Blue Giant. I've been thinking a lot about this manga lately, not only because I finished it recently, but because it is one of the manga that impacted me the most. This masterpiece was written not only with a lot of care and love for its characters, but it was thoroughly crafted to inspire its readers. The series is divided into 4 parts until now, with the 4th one being serialized as we talk about it. We have Blue Giant Supreme, Blue Giant Explorer, and Blue Giant Momentum. Every title is related to a part of the protagonist's life, Dai Miyamoto, the one who will eventually become the brightest star in jazz history. In this video, we'll talk only about the first part, the original Blue Giant. First of all, this manga is made for a more mature audience, so if you're still in school, maybe it will be hard to grasp everything that this story throws at you, as in my opinion, you can only understand a couple of characters if you have lived long enough to experience the day-to-day life struggles, frustrations, and if you've ever had a dream that really motivated you. Blue Giant is a jazz-themed manga series written and illustrated by Shinichi Ishizuka. It was serialized in Shogakukan's Big Comic from May 2013 to August 2016, with its chapters compiled in 10 volumes. So it is a pretty quick read with 80 chapters in this first part. But don't take it lightly, cause your boy here cried a couple of times reading this piece. It's an emotional journey that will take the ground off your feet. The story goes a little bit like this. Filled with passion, struggle, and the relentless pursuit of dreams, Blue Giant follows the journey of Dai Miyamoto, a high school student with a seemingly unremarkable life in Sendai. However, his world changes when he discovers the saxophone and the soul-stirring power of jazz. Dai's introduction to jazz isn't just a hobby, it's an awakening. His dedication is nothing short of extraordinary, practicing every day tirelessly by the riverside, hours and hours, rain or shine, for 3 straight years, driven by an insatiable desire to become the greatest jazz musician of his time. His lack of formal training and understanding of music theory doesn't deter him. Instead, it fuels his raw, emotional playing style that captivates those who hear him. As Dai moves to Tokyo to chase his dream, the manga dives deep into the gritty reality of the music world. He faces numerous challenges, financial struggles, tough competition, and the skepticism of seasoned musicians. But it is through these trials that Dai's character shines. His unwielding spirit and the friendships he forms along the way, especially with other passionate musicians, creates a compelling narrative about perseverance and the transformative power of music. Blue Giant is more than a story about a boy with a saxophone. It's a heartfelt composition to the relentless pursuit of passion and the belief that music can change the world. The manga beautifully captures the essence of jazz, blending it with the universal themes of ambition, friendship, and the quest for greatness. You can almost hear its pages. Even if you're not interested in jazz at all, this manga is much more than that. The premise of this manga sounds pretty basic, right? A boy with the dream of becoming the best jazz musician in the world goes to Tokyo to go after his dream and yada yada. Okay, we got that, yeah? But actually no, guys. It definitely would be easier for me if it was like that, cause the video would be over by now. I need to tell you guys, no, I need to convince you guys to read this manga, because it is way more powerful than that. The author Shinichi Ishizuka is not only a storytelling genius, but he's also very refreshing. The way he tells this story and the characters he built just made Blue Giant get into my top 10 mangas of all time. And I've read thousands of manga, so I got pretty surprised by the end of this first part. So first of all, why is this manga so good then? I actually have a theory that I really want to share with you guys. We're going to analyze a couple of points here, so bear with me until the end. In this first point, I want to talk about one of the most revolutionary ways of telling a story: constant flash forwards. What? So we have a lot of spoilers in the middle of the story? Oh no! Wait. Before we conclude anything, let me finish, please. Jesus. In a way, yes, we have a gigantic spoiler right on the first chapters, but because of how this story is crafted and told, it becomes part of the journey to already know what happens in the future. That's right. Dai Miyamoto, our protagonist, gets there. Yes. He really becomes the greatest jazz musician in the world, and we have that info already on chapter 8, which is crazy to think about it, as this story revolves around this specific goal, right? But how we get that info is even crazier. It's like in the middle of the story we have flash forwards of characters giving some type of statement about Dai, like someone is making a documentary about him, as he became this jazz legend that is unique and well known. And these statements always provoke some type of nostalgia not only in the characters but in ourselves too, as we're living Dai's life together with him, allowing us as readers to create bonds with all the characters involved. Like for example, as Dai would practice every day on a riverbank, some people would pass by him, and there's this man with a dog who talked briefly with him about the importance of taking care of his instrument in hot days. A couple of pages later, we get to see this man in the present time remembering what happened back then, and that it was a wonderful experience to him to meet Dai and to get to listen to his music, even recalling that the first song that Dai ever created was for this character's deceased dog. Which, damn, it really made me cry at the time. And this statement from this character is shown even before we get to see Dai create this song for the dog, because we see it happening in the manga, the whole emotional part of Dai connecting with the dog and eventually creating a song to him as an homage, making the owner burst into tears. That happens left and right in this series. That's one of the reasons why the characters are so well used by this author. It is like there are no extra characters in this piece, like all of them are important to Dai's journey, and we get to see it closely how this protagonist impacts people's lives, not only because of how wonderful he sounds, but because he's a good and passionate person. It's really exciting to see Dai's development throughout the series, while you wait for the next interview. I got myself thinking a lot of times, okay, so how will Dai impact this character life? Because you can be sure that in one way or another, this young, naive and passionate boy will leave a mark, which tells us a lot about the title of this series. What exactly is a blue giant, you may ask? Well, scientifically speaking, a blue giant is a gigantic hot star that appears blue to its high temperature. In the story though, this parallel is created by one of Dai's teachers, and it basically refers to the next star of jazz, a person that would make music so interesting and powerful that no one would get even close to that. And if you connect the dots, well, the blue giant is our protagonist. But in this first part, we get to only see the birth of this star, just the first humble shine of a massive, gigantic blue star. And this humble shine that I just mentioned is only possible because of this next point we'll talk about. The author lets the story breathe. Guys, Blue Giant has 80 chapters, which is pretty wild because some would say that it is just too short, but I have to disagree. You can feel that the pacing of this manga is just flawless. The author utilizes not only flash forwards, but this story has some parts that are non-linear. So some information are presented and not explored so that you can connect more naturally with them in the future. It's an interesting mix of the author trying to break your expectations, but at the end of the day, getting right there. And how he unfolds the story and develop the characters is just something out of this world. Shinichi Sensei is so singular that even the art of this manga is mesmerizing. The panels where we see the characters playing are so intense that you can almost hear the pages. When the musicians are in the zone, you get there too, with pitch black backgrounds and flashy lines to guide the sound. Mesmerizing is definitely the word. There are even 2 chapters that we don't have any speech balloons. And being completely honest, we don't need them to understand exactly what is happening and to even feel what is happening, because these chapters can get deep even with no talking, just like jazz. Every manga is a journey, but in Blue Giant's case, it is a journey with a capital J. While reading this manga, you don't feel the time passing. You get emotional, you get happy, and above all, you connect with the story. This connection is only possible because the author, Shinichi Ishizuka, not only has great pacing and distinct storytelling, but because he creates realistic characters. Which brings us to the last part of this video, and maybe the most important one. Blue Giant is not one of the best mangas to me because of its story. The real deal in Blue Giant is the characters. How can I say that? It's like they feel very human, which is something weird to say, but if you have read your fair share of mangas, you'll get me when I say that most characters around Japanese pop culture don't feel very organic, right? Blue Giant explores characters of multiple paths of life and brings soul to what it means to be human. Jazz connects people because it lets you express yourself, or as Dai would say, it lets you put your guts out. It shows everyone who you are and what type of person you aspire to be. It is delicate and at the same time powerful. The potency of this manga is groundbreaking. By the end of it, I was literally crying my ass out. It just moves you, and you have to read it to understand what I'm talking about. In just a couple of chapters, you get captivated by Dai and his band. The way that the characters evolved is just different. I won't spend much time talking about the other 2 main characters, because someday I'll have a dedicated long video about the whole series where we'll explore everything in detail. But before anything else, this is a story about Dai Miyamoto connecting with amazing people. To me, that is exactly the message that the author tries to portray. To connect with people is to truly live. The dichotomy of life is very present in this manga. One day everything is great, but shit happens and there's nothing we can do other than keep going forward. Even when taking a step back, because life is not linear. You gotta improvise, you gotta feel it, and above all, you gotta express yourself. Because life is like jazz. This manga shows us that if you have resilience and if you are surrounded by passionate people, you can do whatever you want. Thanks a lot, Shinichi Ishizuka sensei. This manga moves me, it got me more interested in jazz, and Dai inspires me to become even better every day. And that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching, keep dreaming, keep pursuing your goals, keep listening to jazz, and of course, keep reading manga. Bye!